All right, so today's gonna look a little bit different. As you can see, I'm not in my office, I'm in my kitchen. Today, I want to talk about all sorts of things, quitting drinking alcohol. The reason we're in my kitchen instead of in my office is because it is my daughter's birthday party tomorrow, and we need cupcakes, so I'm on cupcake duty. So I'm gonna take you with me along for the ride as I make cupcakes and we talk about quitting drinking alcohol. That's the plan for this Friday evening. So to get into this, if you have never ever interacted with me before, my name is Dillon Reed. I am a certified professional recovery coach. Been sober for almost 6 years at this point. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people at this point to get sober as well, change their lives, and experience all the blessings that are on the other side of alcohol. So today is just that. It's an Ask Me Anything. So feel free to drop anything in the comments, questions that you have about, how do you quit? What is it like to quit? What's it like after? All that sorts of stuff, right? And then as we're waiting for comments and stuff to come in, I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about some of the things that I did along the way to quit drinking, how my experience was, what my experience was like, right? Because that's the best thing I can do to help anybody is share the knowledge and the experience that I have now that I'm on the other side of the worst experience of my life. Jessica, nice to see you on here tonight. Yeah, I like cupcakes too. I also like that cupcakes are portable and much easier to deal with when you have a bunch of little 8-year-olds at a birthday party. So that's what that looks like. So yeah, today I'm gonna take you along as I do some cupcakes and we're gonna talk about getting sober. So I think probably the best place, I suppose, to start talking about it would be kind of like at the end of my drinking, what the last probably 6 months or so looked like, and some of the steps that I took. I'd taken steps before that, like I'd been to detox and I'd seen therapists. I had limited success quitting for a little bit here and there. I don't have any experience taking any sort of medication like naltrexone or Antabuse or anything like that. So I can't really tell you what that's like, but we'll just walk through this. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll get to them as we go through this. Forgive me anytime that I pop off of the camera. It's because I'm getting a standing mixer or, cupcake tray, like that kind of stuff. I will do everything I can to continue to interact with you guys as we go through this. So yeah, there you go. Jessica says, no way, 8 already. How crazy. It is. It is super crazy to me. Nathan says, hey buddy, I'm still sober, no alcohol, 1 year, 4 months. That's what's up, dude. Keep it up. It just gets better and better. Seriously, it gets better and better. This morning, I volunteered at all my kids' school, and that's why I got the shirt on still. But I usually would volunteer on her birthday, but it started like a fight because my son's birthday is the day after Christmas and school's closed. So we can't do any sort of volunteering at school on his birthday, so we stopped doing it on her birthday, so I volunteered today. And the reason I bring that up is, guess what? That's something that I got to do because I'm sober. I made a post about it this morning, but like I wouldn't have been I know that I wouldn't have been the active father that I am today if I were still drinking. So it's just like, keep doing it, keep staying sober. Your life only gets better and better the longer that you stay sober. Yeah, Liz says I look younger. Younger than what? I'll take it though. I'll take it. So yeah, so when I was working towards getting sober, really started maybe actively pursuing it like February of 2019 was when I really started taking it seriously. I wanted to quit for years before that. I did I want to quit tomorrow, I want to quit Monday, I want to quit after the 4th of July, I want to quit on my birthday. I'd been doing that for years, like a decade actually at that point, pretty much a decade. But February 2019, I was like, this really has to stop. Like I have to figure out how to do this. Had a little bit of stint of sobriety on my own, completely white knuckled the whole experience. I went to therapy during that experience, during that time. I didn't get a lot out of it because I didn't put a lot into it. And that's something that's a recurring theme that you're gonna see through this and anyone will see in their sobriety journey. Like if you're not putting in the work, you're gonna have a bad time. Like that's the reality. Like there's a lot of work that goes into getting sober, and you gotta participate. You gotta be an active participant in your own life if you want to get sober. That's just the way that it goes. So I had like a couple months here and there, and then I'd have a couple weeks here and there, and then come about October of 2019. Like it would have been late October, early November, because I remember by Thanksgiving I was sober. I quit. Like I quit cold turkey. I was drinking a fifth a day, at least a fifth a day. Before that, pretty much at that point, my drinking had evolved. My life had devolved to the point where I was a sun up to sundown drinker. You know, I was a fifth of whiskey every single day. That's just the way that it went. I would lose track of days, truly lose track of days. I didn't eat very much or very, very often. I was just in a bad shape and realized that I had to get sober. And I've told this story a couple times, but I'm going to keep telling it because it's my story, right? I spent about a week out of town. I went out of town to a place called Holyoke, Colorado. My mom was working. My mom lived with me. She told me like, hey, she was like traveling insurance salesman. She was like, hey, I've got to go sell some policies in this area. You know, you could stay in the hotel all by yourself and like just dry out. So I went ahead and did that. Worst experience for me ever. Do not recommend. If you're ever drinking as much as I was and eating as little as I was and sleeping as little as I was, it's not a good choice to do it all by yourself, turns out. So I quit. I got sober. I was sober for about a week. I got home from Colorado and my skin is like yellow, like Simpsons, like the Simpsons characters, and eyes were yellow, the whole thing. So it's just completely jaundiced at that point. And I had to go to the hospital, you know, went and spent like about a week in the hospital. When I was released, my bilirubin levels were like 20 times what they're supposed to be. Had a fun little chat with the hepatologist, which is a liver doctor. And he just let me know, like, if you keep drinking, it's going to kill you. Like, that's just the way that it is. I knew that. I mean, when I went in during check-in, I let them know, like, they're like, so are you still drinking? I'm like, no, I've been sober for like a week. I quit smoking cigarettes. I just quit everything bad at the same time. And, you know, they didn't believe me a lot, it turns out, because a lot of people come in there with that same story when they're looking like I did, and it's not the truth. And I stuck to it, or did for a while, right? So from that point, like I said, I think it was, I guess it probably would have been early November, early to mid-November, because I do remember Halloween, trick-or-treaters coming to my house and like putting a thing up on the door that was like, don't mess with me, just take candy and go. So I get sober about mid-November to deal with all the health issues, right? Like, cause like I said, my bilirubin levels were like 20 times the normal tolerance, safe limit, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. But I started eating super cleanly. None of this is medical advice, by the way, okay? Like, I'm not advising that people quit cold turkey through this process. Like, I definitely won't as the story continues. And I'm not saying that if you are jaundiced, that if you do what I did, that it will fix your issues. Like, that's not something I'm doing. But I started eating super clean. Like, I'm about to grab my standing mixer, which I own today, because after that happened, I cut out like all processed foods that existed, like prepackaged processed foods. So I learned to bake my own bread and that kind of stuff. So I got a standing mixer. I was eating I did a lot of internet research to kind of try to figure out like, what can I do to lower bilirubin levels? What can I do to clear jaundice? What can I do to improve liver health? All that stuff. So I was eating a very, very low fat diet because I had alcoholic fatty liver disease at that point, because they'd done MRI or CTs and that kind of stuff to check out kind of what was going on with my liver to figure out why I'm yellow, of course. So I was not eating a lot of fatty foods at all, like a lot of chicken, pretty much. A lot of leafy green vegetables. They call them cruciferous vegetables, tons of broccoli, tons of kale, tons of spinach, tons of collard greens, that kind of stuff. So it was a whole lot of vegetables and a whole lot of lean meats. And I started exercising, and this is gonna sound weird because like I just ran a marathon at the beginning of November. But at that point, exercise to me meant getting on a treadmill and walking for a mile. Like that's all I could do. My body had deteriorated so much. And you have to recognize I was 32 years old at that point. So like I'm 32 years old and I'm at a point I can barely walk a mile. Like truthfully, that's how out of shape I had gotten in. So I would like make myself walk like a mile. I found that the sunlight has a lot to do with the way that your body will clear bilirubin and jaundice. So I spent as much time as I could outdoors. Mind you, this is Casper, Wyoming. Okay, Wyoming is known for harsh winters, and it's November and December in Wyoming. So that wasn't very fun. It was windy and cold, but I did, and of course I wasn't very exposed because I didn't want to expose my skin to that kind of weather. But I got out and did that kind of thing. I want to catch a comment that I had coming in. Haley says, I've majorly been diving into sobriety recently, and this is the first time you've ever popped up on my page, but it's live and I'm trying to be sober tonight until my anti-abuse is called into my pharmacy on Monday. I find that high protein foods helped me stay fuller longer because when I'm super hungry is when I get the biggest cravings. That's actually a really, really important thing to recognize. We use the acronym HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So if you are experiencing cravings, check in with yourself and recognize, like, are any of those four things going on? And hunger is the one that gets people all the time. We feel a sense of deprivation and we just immediately associate it with alcohol because like that's the thing that's given us the biggest bang for our buck, the biggest reward, right? So a lot of times it is actually that we're just hungry. Like that's it. So making sure that you are full is a big deal. Just love that, and I'm pointing that out. Again, thank you for the comment. I really appreciate that. Steven, what's up, dude? Nice to see you on here. Hope you're doing well, man. Scott says, walking is amazing. I enjoy it. Thank you so much for helping to get me here. Dude, you're welcome. Like, that's what it's here. That's what it's all about, dude. That's what it's all about. I love hearing from you guys when you're like, hey, I've been sober for this long. You know, thank you. Like, that stuff, it means a lot. It really means a lot. It's about the community. It's about everybody getting sober. That's what this is about. So, yeah, the alcohol. Ooh, hold on. Steven says, that's real. Earlier today, I was hungry and I was tired and I ate and I was okay. Seriously, it's wild. Yeah, like you check in with yourself before you decide to go wreck yourself and use substances. Like it's just not cool, not cool. But yeah, so I took care of the bilirubin thing. It took about a month and a half, and the jaundice, like I wasn't really yellow anymore. I had blood work done weekly during that time because I wanted to make sure things were coming down. Like it wasn't prescribed to me that I do that, but like I'm allowed to go get blood work done. So I just kept having them check it, and specifically was having a liver panel done. All of my liver levels came within normal tolerance range, like within a month and a half. Bilirubin, all that stuff, ALT, AST, all of it. I definitely attribute it to, like, obviously not drinking alcohol. That had a huge impact, but choosing to completely change the way I lived. And I'm not telling you right now that you have to do that. Like, hopefully you are healthier and you don't have to do something like that. But I think it really emphasizes the turnaround that you can get, the rebound, the comeback that can occur if you get sober and you start making changes in your life. Like, I mean, I was like quite literally on death's doorstep and completely flipped that whole thing around. I didn't turn into, like, you know, a marathoner or a bodybuilder at that point, but I was okay again, and that was a really big deal. I stayed sober for 3 months or so after that. Didn't really want to drink, didn't have really any white knuckle type nights. I didn't want to smoke cigarettes. I just didn't do that. I did increase my sugar consumption. That definitely did occur. But I was, for the most part, I was good. Let's see. Steven says, for me, it's more than just booze, drugs too. No, dude, I get that. I'm going to talk about the pre-lapse to the last relapse before I got sober, and that will come in as well right there. Steven says, yo, dude, I want to share something. I'm all for it, man. And if you want to just share it personally, privately, you can. If you want to share it publicly, you can. Let me know what you want to do. And I will do everything I can to facilitate you doing that. Yeah, that's what this is about. It's about community. So, like I said, I was sober for 3 months, but here's the thing. I wasn't really sober for 3 months. So I spent all through the rest of November and through December and was like completely sober. I had my wisdom teeth pulled after that, and I got a prescription for hydrocodone, which like I enjoyed, like thoroughly enjoyed doing that. I've always enjoyed painkillers, and I wasn't abusing the prescription, but I was enjoying the experience of doing it, which was like, looking back, that's not a good thing. Like you're not supposed to be enjoying that, right? And I then had to go back in for like dry sockets and infection in one of them actually, and I was prescribed even more. So then like I kept taking it and kept enjoying it. Not a good thing. Real quick, Sammy says, they say alcohol withdrawal can cause death. That's what scares me. It's true. It's true. Like that's 100% true. There's a lot that goes into that though. And this isn't me telling you to go one way or the other. I'm just saying, you have to be pretty unhealthy, like to be at that point. Like there's a lot that goes into it as far as malnourishment as to why it happens. If you already have like pre-existing conditions, high blood pressure, like history of cardiac arrest, that kind of stuff, yes, that becomes an issue. If you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, if you're just generally not taking care of yourself, that puts you in a higher risk category as far as withdrawal symptoms. But we have to understand that withdrawal occurs every time you quit drinking. Like for someone that has 2 beers and they stop, they experience a withdrawal. It's just not painful in the way that we think of extreme withdrawal, right? So with that being said, the vast majority of people, 99.99999% of people who quit drinking alcohol will quit drinking alcohol with zero negative consequences other than a crappy hangover, right? Again, this isn't me advocating for you to go one way or the other, but if you are at the point where you like the fear is like you've got the shakes, you're like vomiting when you're not drinking and those kinds of things, talk to a doctor. Like, so I always advocate talking to a medical professional. I am not one. I'm a certified professional recovery coach. I work in that space. I don't work in medical field like that. It's not the same. But if you're seriously scared, like seriously scared, just talk to your damn doctor. Let them know where you're at. Be honest with them about it, and they can help guide you in the right way. I've got some comments that came in. Steven says, you said bilirubin. I went years after a doctor said my blood cells were off. I had 5 ulcers up and down my esophagus. They said it looked like hamburger up and down. I don't mean to laugh at you, but I get it. On a health matter, that shit will destroy your esophagus and create a cancer. My brother worked as a radiology clinic in Oregon for 25 years and said he's seen people in my state die. Yeah, so what is it called? Varices. So if you get like esophageal varices, so you could like bleed to death, like internal bleed to death from the wounds in your esophagus from excessive drinking and smoking. Like it's a thing. Like it's a real thing. So I appreciate you sharing that. Like seriously, it's a big deal. Sammy says, if I get a headache and I think I'm about to have a seizure, so I get a drink to get rid of the headache. I mean, if you are thinking you're about to have a seizure, then now is the time to consult a doctor and take care of that. Maybe getting a Librium tape or whatever it looks like, whatever you need to do. Like I said, I am a huge advocate of consulting medical professionals when we get to that point. There was a point where I was not experiencing things like that. I was just afraid of quitting. Like I thought that if you just quit at all with heavy consumption, you were gonna like die, and that's not the truth. If I would have quit when I was afraid of quitting, I could have quit, everything would have been fine, and I could have avoided like the rest of the story I'm going to continue to tell you. Yeah, so just go talk to your doctor, dude. Your life is worth it. Whatever it costs is whatever it costs. There's no cost that should be spared when it comes to getting sober. Like that's it, because you'll get a return on your investment. You get sober, whatever you spend to get sober, you're going to get back in your pocket someday. Because if you don't get sober, you won't get it in your pocket. So just do the thing. Lynn says, Stephen, that is why we need to go to detox first. It depends. But again, consult a medical professional. The vast majority of people do not need to detox first. And that's just a fact. That is just a fact. 100%. I've worked with many medical professionals. I have coached people who were like chief medical officers at hospitals and stuff like that. Okay. So it's like, I've seen behind the scenes baseball as far as what this stuff looks like. Yeah, but again, consult a medical professional. Like that, I am not the medical professional, so don't take this as medical advice. Okay. Steven says yes, it is scary AF. It really is. Lynn says it's simple, even the ER offers detox. True. That's a fact. I should probably at least get these cupcakes started so that I'm not up till like 10 o'clock tonight. Like I said, I was taking hydrocodone because of the wisdom teeth that I had pulled. Another thing I started doing was using cannabis. Not smart. I was having trouble sleeping, figured that might help. So polysubstance use disorder comes in at that point. I'm experiencing like cross addiction and really kind of just trading one for the other, not realizing that that's what I'm doing. I'm not really doing any of the work that I needed to be doing to have any sort of like program of recovery. Like I said, I'm just not drinking, but doing other stuff instead. And I make it till at some point in February, and I apologize, like the timeline seriously gets skewed for me. I am not sure like the exact date I started drinking again or the date that I stopped drinking again. I just know of some events that occurred during that period. There was a time where I tried to like make sense of it by looking at a bank statement, but I no longer have a bank statement, and I didn't do a very good job of piecing the puzzle together at that point. But I ended up relapsing. I had a conversation with my wife, who at the time we were in the middle of a divorce, and it was just enough for me to decide I was going to go make a silly decision. So that's what I did. And I start drinking again. I go out that night. It was funny because I went and bought a pack of cigarettes before I even went out, which I had quit smoking for the duration of that too. And the fact that I bought cigarettes first pretty much meant that I was for sure going to drink. And like I had told myself I wasn't going to drink. I was just going to go out. And buying the cigarettes, like I should have realized like that was me really preparing to go back to that lifestyle. And I went out that night, drank a lot, had a good time, whatever. The next day I wake up like mid-afternoon, extremely hungover, and I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go out again tonight because it's like I'll just make a weekend of it. Like I'm not gonna make this my lifestyle again. I'll just make a weekend of it. So I go out Saturday, and then like I go out again on Sunday, right? So I start the cycle all over again is what happens. I'm gonna read a couple comments, and then I will get back to the story. Lynn says, Sammy, this is called self-medication. If you're not ready to quit, then nobody else can help you. Lynn says we're talking about seizures and internal bleeding. That's when detox. Oh, for sure. No, 100%. But that's just not most people. That is the reality. Like statistically, that's a reality. That's not most people. That's like a very, very, very small portion of people who have alcohol use disorder have taken it that far. Most people can quit without requiring a detox, and that's the reality. But yeah, I mean, if you're experiencing any of those things, go to the hospital, get a detox, do that kind of stuff. Ashley says, how do you deal with boredom? I drink when there's nothing else to do. Weird. You quit being boring. I mean that in the most loving and playful way as possible. But that's the truth. Like boredom exists because we're not doing anything with our time. So then we have to start to do things with our time. Whatever that looks like, finding old hobbies that you gave up on because you were drinking, finding new hobbies because you are sober and you want to try new things. Whatever it looks like, you occupy your time. Like the problem is that if you are using alcohol to like deal with life, if you have a vacuum in your calendar, in your day, alcohol is pretty good at getting poured into that slot. So the best thing that you could do is keep yourself busy. Like that's it. Find a lot of things to do. That's it. Sammy says, is there a detox that I can take? I mean, yeah, like go to your doctor. Like I said, go to your doctor and tell your doctor where you're at. Like, hey, I know that I'm really concerned about withdrawal. I'm working on quitting drinking. As long as you don't have drug seeking behavior in the past or anything like that, They'll prescribe you Librium, which is a benzo, and that they'll prescribe like take so many each day or how many hours, whatever it looks like for you. And you do that, follow the protocol that they give you, and it will help you. It will help ease through those withdrawal symptoms. If it's super hardcore, like you're really in an unhealthy way, and your doctor's gonna be able to help you figure that out if you're honest with them, you may need to go in and have a detox done so that you can be medically monitored. You'll get tests on a regular basis, which they call a CWA, usually like every 8 to 12 hours. They're gonna check to see what kind of tremors you have going on. They're gonna monitor pulse, blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, to let them know, like, if, hopefully they can keep you in the safe neck of the woods. So if you're seriously that worried, man, go to the doctor. Like, that's it. So back to kind of the quitting story. Again, I'll keep taking all your comments as they come through and try to bounce back and forth, right? So I like I said, go back to drinking. I said I was just gonna make a weekend of it. I drank again on that Sunday night, and then Monday rolls around. At this point, I'm just a full-time student. I'm living off scholarships. I have a very low rent room that I'm renting out in a friend's basement, so my bills are minimal, and all I'm doing is focusing on college, and now I'm focusing on drinking also. And Monday rolls around. I don't have class yet because the semester hadn't started, and I just am like, let's drink, no, excuse me, I did have class at that point, but I didn't have a class on that day, and I just drank early. Like I've told this story in many other live broadcasts, but like I had boundaries at one point as far as how early I would drink. In the end of my drinking, it was like, it was 8 a.m. That was it. As long as it was after 8 a.m., I could drink. Like I let myself like backslide that far. So here we are back into the relapse, and it's like I'm drinking first thing in the morning on Monday because I feel like crap and I don't want to feel that way. So I get back into the cycle of just drinking over and over and over again, first thing in the morning until bedtime. I'm doing and when I say bedtime, I mean like whenever I pass out. I'm doing the thing where like I am attending my college classes for the most part sober. Cool thing about college classes, like most of mine were like online at that point, and I didn't have to have my camera on for that stuff because like I'm an adult. So if I was like a little drunk, I could be a little drunk. I would just attend their Zoom meetings. I could just attend, and like that was it. So I just was back in the cycle of drinking all over again. Sammy says I have mental issues, so alcohol makes me feel happy. Yeah, you're not alone, dude. I mean, deal with that part too, like take care of yourself. Like take care of yourself. Like that's what you need to do. It sounds like starting with talking to your general practitioner, primary care provider, whatever you want to call it, and figuring out what to do about a detox. That's a good place to start. And then, like, I don't know, call around, find a therapist, do the work. Ashley says the cycle is hell on earth. Yeah, it really is. So, good God, it is horrible. So, like I said, back to the daily drinking cycle. I eventually do want to quit. Like, I want to quit. I'm like, I am back exactly where I was before. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. I was super afraid to quit on my own. Like, super afraid to quit on my own because of the what I had told previously. Like, I'd done a detox on my own and, like, ended up hospitalized. So I didn't want to do that again. I knew of a place in town called, it was Wyoming Behavioral Institute. I lived in Casper, Wyoming. I was like, well, I will just go there. I know I can get a detox there. So I went there. I called my dad. I'm like, hey, please pick me up, take me to this place. I need to get help. Like, it's like, I don't know, it was probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. And I was like, I just can't keep doing this. So my dad takes me. Terry, thank you very much for the stars. I really appreciate that immensely. It means a lot. Helps me continue to do what I'm doing right here, right? So I go with my Dad, go check myself into this place. And it's horrible. It was a horrible experience. It is a behavioral institute. It is not meant for people, like they did facilitate a detox, but it's not meant for that. As soon as I got in there, I wanted to leave. And then what they did was they did a mental health hold of 5150 on me. So I couldn't leave because I said I wanted to leave, and they're like, oh, that means you don't have your best interest at heart. Like, you're staying. So I had to stay there for 72 hours. During the time that I was there, this hand of God, just freaking truth. While I'm there, they mix me up with another person. Okay, they mix me up with another human being who is in this facility. Okay, they think that I am someone who just came in. So on the day I'm supposed to get discharged, I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? I want to leave. Like, why aren't we like doing the stuff so that I can leave? Because rewind like 8 years or so, I had been in there previously for a detox. So I knew the gig. So it was like, I don't understand why I'm not leaving. Like, I don't understand why this like health institute's not letting me leave. I'm allowed to leave. Like, I came here on my own. The cops didn't take me in, nothing like that. Like, why can't I leave? I finally get to talk to a doctor about it, and they start going through my intake questions, like the same questions that I had every time I'd been there before that. So I'm like, I already answered all this. And the person's like, no, you haven't. I was like, yes, I have. And she goes, no, you just got here last night. And like, at this point, I'm like, I'm starting to question my own sanity. Like, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? No, I have been here for 3 days now. I'm supposed to leave tonight. I have answered this. Like, what are you talking about? She then asked me what my birth date is. I tell her what my birth date is, and she just turns pale ghost white. Like, oh my God, what is going on? Then realizes that, yes, they have in fact confused me with another patient who, yes, did just get there the night before, was there for trying to end his story, not me. And goes, oh God, yeah, you are supposed to be discharged today. But the problem is that place only discharges during certain hours, which had already passed. So like, I got to spend an extra night there. It wasn't a good experience. I got to say, I also wasn't very open to the experience because of how it went from me being there on my own, being like, I don't think this is the place I need to be, and then them saying, no, you're staying anyways. I just wasn't receptive to the experience at that point. As far as any therapeutic value, yes, I had to like attend some sessions, but they didn't do a lot for me because I wasn't listening to what was being said. Okay, so like that's my bad. That's on me. But it wasn't a good experience, and I don't recommend that to anybody. Find something that's much more about addiction, not just mental health in general. That would be a recommendation I would have from my own experience. And I've also heard that very same thing from many of my friends who are addictions therapists and that kind of stuff. Because once you start doing this kind of thing, you get immersed in that field and you start to learn best practices kind of stuff, right? So that wasn't a good detox. I do get out. My dad picks me up because, like I said, my dad had dropped me off, and he drops me off where I live. He gets around the corner. As soon as I see him get around the corner, I get in my vehicle and I go to the liquor store. Like I have purchased alcohol like 15 minutes after I get home from detox, because like I just didn't get what I needed. Yeah, I detoxed, but I was not at that place. I was not at a place yet. I spend some more time drinking. Not ideal, but like that's what happened. Jessica, yeah, cupcakes. I'm working on it, okay? So, thanks, Jessica. I appreciate that. I keep looking at these instructions. I'm like, oh, shoot, I need to be making cupcakes, and I'm not doing it. But maybe I should multitask. But I did that detox, and then like I said, I immediately wasn't detoxing and went back to drinking. And drank for, like I said, the timeline's super blurry for me. I drank for a time after that, and then one night I wanted to quit again. So I'd have these moments of clarity where I want to do something about it, and I want to quit again. So I go to the hospital because I'm like, I need a detox. I need a detox. I go to the hospital, and they hit me with an IV, I'm like dehydrated. Again, thanks, Jessica. I really appreciate that for you reminding me I'm back on it. But I recognize like I just don't feel well. I just don't feel well from the drinking. I go there, they get me the IV, get me hydrated again. I start feeling better. I ask about like treatment resources. Like I need to detox, that kind of stuff. And they're like, well, you know, we don't really do a detox here, but there's two facilities. There's like Central Wyoming Counseling Center that I could go to, and then a place called Wyoming Recovery. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to learn about these things. I get some information about it. After talking to him, I'm like, okay, well, at that point, because I had, like I said, I was like living off scholarships. I was a really good student, even with the drinking. I've always been a really good student. So I was living off scholarships. I had just received the money for my scholarship for that semester. So I'm like sitting on quite a bit of cash, and I'm like, I can go to rehab. Like I can afford to go to this inpatient treatment place. I need a detox. I need a better experience for a detox than what I just had where I went. Let's do this thing. So they call over to this place, and the place goes, no, we're not going to take this guy. The reason they didn't want to take me is I was like really drunk. I was really, really drunk already at that point. This was probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So they're like, we won't take you tonight. We might take you in the morning, right? Like we've got a bed, we can get you in the morning. I will go right back to that after I read this comment. Lynn said addiction is a behavioral issue. 72 hours was your detox time to be washed. You just weren't on board, but also it was a piece of your recovery that was needed. Just saying. No, I mean, 100%. Like this is all a part of my story, right? It's a piece of the tapestry that was the road that got me to where I am today, right? So like I said, I was trying to go to this treatment facility. They won't take me. They said they'd take me in the morning, but I had to stay sober. I go home, and I still have alcohol at home. So I drank it. So like I couldn't go to the place in the morning like they had said that I could. My bad. Live and learn, I guess. I then spend some more time drinking, not really thinking much about getting sober. Kind of put the idea of going to that treatment facility, like back burner that thing. And I'm like, I'm just going to drink. They couldn't take me, whatever. Have a few more moments of lucidity, you know, at night and stuff, but realize like I have to be sober to and able to go to that treatment place. I finally like get connected with someone, and they're like, they said they would take me to Central Wyoming Counseling Center. They picked me up. It's some morning. Like it was a day, just a day. I didn't pick a date or anything. I was like, just tomorrow. So they picked me up. They say they know some people there. We're on the way there, and like she stops at a coffee shop. While she's there, I'm on the phone with this place. When I call, they're like, well, we don't have any beds available. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then just turn around. I just tell her, like, just turn around. Like, there's no need to take me. Like, they can't take me in. So we go back to the place that I'm staying at. I sit there for a little while, and I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't care, basically. I get an Uber and I'm in Wyoming, okay? It had snowed like 12 inches overnight. I'm driving like a Chevy Malibu that is not going to get me to the liquor store in the snow. So I get an Uber. Uber comes and picks me up, some dude in a truck. He takes me to the liquor store. I'm like, hey, and I was pretty new to the Uber stuff at that point. So I was like, hey, like, can I like just add a stop? Can you like take me home after this? He just shows me how to do it. So he was like, so like, what do you want me to do? I was like, I just want to go in the liquor store. I just want to buy booze, and then like you just take me back home. So that's what he does. I buy a fifth of the whiskey I was drinking at the time. I go back to where I'm staying, and I drink the fifth of whiskey in like an hour or so, like very rapidly. During that time, I'm researching treatment facilities because I'm like, this is it. I'm done. I call that place that wouldn't take me that one time. I call them, and I'm like, hey, I want to come in today. I've been drinking. Like, is that okay? Like, yeah, it's fine. I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I need a ride. My dad goes, I'm not taking you to the liquor store. That was his response. I was like, I don't want you to take me to the liquor store. I want you to take me to treatment. Like, I need help. Can you do that? He goes, I think that's a good idea. So we're off. Give me a second. I need to grab a measuring cup because I do have to make these cupcakes. It's a real thing. I should probably preheat the oven too. So my dad takes me to this treatment facility. We are doing all the paperwork and stuff. I just doing the thing, talking to the people that are doing the intake, and we get through all the paperwork. They're ready to take me back, and I then have to like interact with a nurse, and she like gives me a breathalyzer. Realizes that I'm really drunk, and for a second is like, I don't know if we can take you in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a repeat of what it was. But they decided that even though like I had blown really high on the breathalyzer, they had been interacting with me for like an hour and a half at this point to get through all of the intake. And she's like, like, even though you're really drunk, like you're very lucid for how drunk you are, we're going to take you. We're going to keep you. Okay. So I checked myself in. I checked myself in for treatment because I wanted to detox, and I knew that I wouldn't get what I needed from going to WBI again. And like I said, I couldn't get into Central Wyoming Counseling Center, which was the same concept. I just wanted a place to get sober and like be done, right? That's it. Yeah. So real quick, I want to take some comments. Lynn says, amen, brother. Lynn says, we're off. Very good. David says, woohoo, keep it up. 58 days no alcohol. Dude, that's what's up. I love it. I love it. You keep it up too. That's what I'm all about it, man. All about it. So I go to this treatment facility. I do the whole 30 days thing. It was a good experience. Like, it's that simple. Like, if you have the resources to be able to go to treatment, I say go for it. If you're in a position in your life where you can take the time off to do that, which, by the way, most people can, for the record. The vast majority of people can do that. It's just a really convenient excuse to be able to like, well, I can't do that. Because there was a time where my wife had recommended that I do that. And I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. I should have done it. I should have done it when she recommended it. But I was a jackwagon and didn't do that. Yeah, lesson learned, right? I don't know if you guys can, I hope you can hear me over the blender, because I'm going to have to run not blender, but the standing mixer. So I'm going to have to run it for a minute because I am making these cupcakes. So I get through the treatment program, and like, I changed my whole life, guys. Like, I spent the first year or so after getting sober thinking that it was like going to treatment that did it. And I'm not saying don't go to treatment. This isn't me like saying like, you don't need treatment. Like, that's not it at all. But what I realized is like, dude, treatment stops after 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Like, whatever your length of stay is, like, it's done. Like, it's done. The question is, are you going to keep doing the stuff that you might have learned? Are you going to come up with a way of living that works better when you're done with that stuff, right? Some do and some don't. So like, that's why treatment doesn't always work. But it's not because the program is missing something. It's because the person doesn't do the work. And I it's not a popular opinion. I'm not trying to like blame them, but like, we have to do the work. So like, it's impossible to not put some of the onus of sobriety on the person trying to quit. Okay. And this is coming from somebody who like failed over and over and over again. At some point, we have to be accountable to ourselves, be responsible for our choices, and maybe be accountable to some other things and other people too, whatever that looks like. But you have to do the work to get sober. You can't just, the mistake I see people make, and this is why I think it's important to tell this part of my story, is people will be like, I will go to treatment and then like fixed. No, like, no, that's not it. Of the people, like the graduating class of the treatment program that I went to, there are like 4 of us that are still sober. Yeah, like it isn't, you don't just go in and like they correct things and you come out and you're like, oh, I'm just better now. Like it doesn't work that way. So that's part of like what tonight is about, is like talking about all the things that changed in order for me to like continue to stay sober. Like, you know, do go to some meetings. If it's necessary for you, do go to some meetings. If you have no one in your life that can support you, that can support you in the way that you need to stay sober, going to AA meetings is not the worst thing in the world. I don't do that stuff anymore at all. I got to a point where it was like, diminishing returns, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. And didn't want to be, just the old timer that's like there for the newcomer. I know somebody needs to do that, and that's great. And I have immense respect to somebody who does that. It just wasn't me. Like I wanted more from my sobriety than to attend a lot of meetings. And that's just facts. That's the truth. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like that's it. I went to a meeting one day, I looked around, and I was like, I don't want to be any of these guys. Like I want to be sober for sure, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And I don't do that anymore. I will attend AA meetings very, very sparingly, when someone asks me to. Like if somebody I care about is like, hey, would you go to an AA meeting with me? I will go. But you're not going to catch me like, even like, I just went through a divorce, okay? Filed in January, separation occurred in the beginning of May, finalized at the beginning of November. So like I've spent all of 2025 going through a divorce. I wasn't going to AA meetings. Like I had days where I wanted to drink. I had days that were rough. I had days I was horribly depressed, horribly anxious, all of that stuff, right? And I wasn't going to meetings. And that's not me saying don't go to meetings, okay? I'm not picking a fight with AA, okay? I have my thoughts on AA. I'm not saying don't go to AA, because AA has helped many, many people. And that's just a fact. There's a certain type of person that AA is perfect for. And I want that certain type of person to find AA and to get sober. So I'm not going to come on here and say, don't go to AA. I'm just saying I don't go anymore, and I'm still able to stay sober because there are other things in my life that contribute to my recovery program. And that's what matters. Like that's the thing when you get out of treatment that you need to still carry, still need to have. Like, you know, people talk about working your program. Really what they say is like, how the hell are you going to continue to take care of yourself? For me, self-improvement is a huge part of my recovery program. Like I said, I just ran a marathon. I plan to run more. I go lift weights in the gym, participate in my children's lives. I have my own hobbies. I'm a content creator. I'm a certified professional recovery coach. I have multiple businesses that I own. Like I stay freaking busy and do stuff and contribute to the community. I volunteer. I do all that stuff. Those are all things that contribute to it. For some people, AA fills all that void, and it could. Like I'm sure if I could do that thing, but I just don't do that thing. Again, I'm not saying don't do that, but mine looks different. So like, I'm a nerd, dude. Like I am a academic. I have a degree. I am a published scholar. Okay, like I've done research that's been published. I've presented my research at a conference in France. Okay, like I am all about facts and figures and statistics. So as soon as I got sober, that was one of the first things I started looking into. Was like, okay, well, what are the things that, like through longitudinal studies, okay, what are the things that predict long-term recovery? And when they say predict, it doesn't mean like for sure if you do these things will happen. It means that these are largely contributing factors in someone's long-term recovery. So I just find out what those things are and I start incorporating them, okay? That's why I still work out. One of the top indicators of someone's long-term sobriety is a fitness program. And it doesn't mean they have to like, you know, become Arnold or anything like that. It means that on a regular basis, they are exercising, okay? Which I can't speak globally, but in America, that's the thing most people aren't doing. I think all of us know that. So incorporating that was one of the first things that I did and continue to do and would recommend to everyone. I recommend that to every single one of the clients that I work with, that if they're not already exercising on a regular basis, they start to do that. And all that has to look like is an elevated heart rate for 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. We're not asking somebody to contribute like hours and hours and hours of their life, right? Like this is a minimal investment of time, especially considering that you just, I apologize, the mixer has to run for 2 minutes. We're doing the cupcakes, it's happening, okay? This is a minimal investment of your time because you, I, we, whoever was just investing countless hours into drinking alcohol, okay? If I wasn't drinking, I was thinking about drinking. I was planning drinking. I was cleaning up messes from the night before from my drinking. All of that stuff. Like, it is super time consuming. So I'm saying you have time to exercise, okay? So that was something I incorporated. I think everybody should incorporate. Even if you don't have a substance use issue, you should be exercising. It's just good for you as a human. But it's a huge predictor, okay? The next thing that was in the literature was self-efficacy, okay? That's the belief that you can get sober and can stay sober. The belief in yourself is what that is, okay? This may sound like me talking crap on AA, but it's not. It's me just stating something, okay? I am a published human communication scholar, okay? So my field of study is how humans interact with communicate with one another, and also more importantly, how they communicate internally, and how that internal communication impacts the trajectory of their life, okay? I learned that self-efficacy is such a big deal in recovery, and all I can do is think about all of the education that I'm like, oh my God, like, so you really have to believe in yourself and in your ability to recover, okay? Well, I mean, and that makes sense, right? Like that's right? It seems like there's just, of course, somebody has to do that, right? This is when I start having like real concerns for myself about continuing to go to AA, largely because of this like powerlessness thing that exists. That's not useful to me, okay? It's obviously useful for other people because they're using this program, they're staying sober. That's a fact. I can't take that away. But for me, as a person, it wasn't a valuable tool, and it wore on me. And I start thinking more and more about like, well, what am I telling myself? Like, if self-efficacy is the greatest predictor of someone's long-term recovery, and I'm telling myself that I don't have that power, like, what in the heck is that about? So I start having questions. And then also the concept of like, George Herbert Mead, okay, one of my favorite human communication scholars, developed a theory of symbolic interactionism. And it includes this concept. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds, but it's this concept of the looking glass self, which is that like our identity, who we are, okay, is a combination of really what other people think of us through a tint of us in there. But a lot of it is how other people view us and the things that we just keep thinking, okay? Like, I did some really interesting research with a kid who was not doing well in school, in an after-school program that I was participating in. He had people around him who continued to tell him that he was unintelligent, he was dumb, he was stupid, he was all that stuff. I started bringing positive language into his life, and his life improved, okay? Like, truthfully, he became smarter, or at least was willing to be more intelligent because he quit doubting the fact that he was intelligent. So, like, those things are a big deal. You are who you think you are to a very large degree. And there's sociology research into that like, we will not act outside of the realm of what our identity is, okay? So for me, I'm like, I can't continue to call myself an alcoholic because an alcoholic behaves in a certain way. And I'm not an alcoholic. I did used to be that person. I did used to behave that way. I did used to drink like that, but I don't do that anymore. So I can't keep calling myself that. Like, it was in my head, it's like this, like, I don't call myself a kid anymore because I'm not that, you know? I spent like a decade as a server or a bartender. I don't call myself a server or a bartender anymore. Like, it's not a hat that I wear anymore. So I had to let it go. So that was part of the thing that I had to do. And this was all through the research, right? Again, this is not me advocating against you doing this or going to these programs. I'm sharing my experience. And I want to just bring the self-efficacy front line and center for you to understand that the number one greatest predictor, even above fitness, taking care of yourself, the number one greatest predictor of long-term recovery, like, get this in your head, is your belief in yourself and your ability to do so, okay? And even if that means fake it till you make it for a little while, because you might have to sell yourself a story. Jess, thank you for the stars. You may have thought I was like not getting to it. I was going to get to it. I just wanted to get through the rest of that self-efficacy thing because I didn't want to get lost in the weeds of that story. Like, because I could get very lost in that because it's something I'm passionate about, something that's well researched back though. And I've got through the self-efficacy part. So Jess, thank you very much for the stars. Again, appreciate it. It does help me. It helps contribute to me continuing to be a content creator and do this stuff and be able to like make these cupcakes, which I am making. It's only taken me an hour so far. The oven is preheated, so we're gonna get going on these cupcakes finally. But it helps. It does help. Every little bit helps, right? So like I said, fitness was a big part of my recovery, what it took to quit and stay quit. It's not just my experience. I've had some people that come after me about that. Like, don't just tell me it's exercise. And like, I'm not just telling you it's exercise, but I'm telling you that exercise is a huge part of being a human. Like, because that's it to me. Being recovered and living a good life means becoming human again and experiencing humanness. That means experiencing the good and the bad. Like I said, I just went through a divorce. Trust me, that wasn't all, puppy dogs, unicorns, and rainbows over the last year or before that, obviously, or the separation and divorce wouldn't have occurred. Like, it doesn't work that way. We have to become comfortable in our own skin again. Like, we have to be willing to just mature, grow, develop, evolve, whatever you want to call it, and live a new life without substance use being a part of it. Don't think I'm trying to like diminish the reality of that experience because I've lived it. It's a lived experience. But I can say that on the other side of it, we do eventually have to look back and recognize that part of the deal is getting back in the driver's seat and doing something, becoming accountable to ourselves and taking responsibility for the choices that we made previously and the choices that we will make to take us wherever it is that we want to go. I have to turn around and grab some cupcake liners and some cupcake pan, so I'll be right back in a second. Okay, I have returned. So the fitness thing is important. Another thing that I think is like, hold on, is like front and center. I'm not quite done mixing these, thank God. I just caught that. Another thing that I found to be very important in my recovery has been other therapeutic modalities, okay? Like, I have a therapist. I go to therapy on a regular basis. And when I say regular, I don't mean weekly or like multiple times a week. I go every couple weeks as necessary. I went more during the divorce because it was more necessary in my life at that time. Not really a shocker, I don't think, for anybody that's been through that experience. And the reason I say that is because we are coming back into our humanness, usually at a deficit, okay? That means that you don't have the tools necessary for you, I gotta get this comment in a second, but you don't have the tools necessary for you to experience humanness and to regulate your emotions. That's like a big problem that most people run into. Often is a contributing factor as to why we're coping in the first place. My parents didn't teach me how to emotionally regulate because they didn't know how to. Their parents didn't know how to. Nobody's teaching anybody how to do that stuff. The way that we are Irish, and I'm not blaming it on my heritage, I'm saying culturally, the way that we dealt with our problems was to drink, okay? So, you know, there you go. Had to cut that out of the experience. Okay, as far as these cupcakes, Elizabeth says, I missed the beginning of this live, and now I'm just damn curious what these cupcakes you are making is for. Yeah, Jessica says kiddo's birthday. Yes, my daughter's 8th birthday was yesterday. My son's 3rd birthday was also yesterday. And there's a birthday party tomorrow. The kid's mom and I are hosting together. I am preparing the cupcakes because she has the kids this evening. So I'm doing that stuff so that when we all get together tomorrow for this birthday party, there's cupcakes for the kids that will be there. So yeah, that's what that's all about. Now you know. And yes, they are happening. They're happening. I won't ever do this again because I realize that I am not very good at telling my story and also making cupcakes. It turns out it's the thing I'm not very good at multitasking. So there you go. It's been a very slow, long process. Wherein I almost forgot the vegetable oil, and that probably would have been an issue. I don't know. I've never made cupcakes without them, but I assume there's a reason that they're part of the recipe. Yeah. So that, again, would highly recommend some sort of therapeutic modality to work with emotional regulation, your mental state. Highly recommend cognitive behavioral therapy myself. That is what I have the most experience in. It's not the only therapy that I have experience with, but that is what I personally have seen the biggest impact on my life with, because it really has a lot to do with changing how we behave as a cognitive behavioral therapy, changing the way we behave based on getting better at not letting our thoughts and our feelings turn into actions. Because that's it. That's what a lot of this stuff is. Like we feel like we're in control all the time, or at least want to tell ourselves that we're in control all of the time. What we do find when we do experience a disordered behavior is like alcohol use disorder or any of those other, a disordered eating or anything like that. We start to learn that maybe we're not so in control. And cognitive behavioral therapy is a good way to start to understand the mechanisms that exist as to why maybe you're not in control and how to maybe get that control back instead of feeling like a passenger in your own life's car, which that's how I felt in the end. It was like I felt like I was I felt like I was in the trunk of the car. Yeah. Kayla, what's up? Says, hi, Dill. I want cupcakes. Yeah, me too. I am excited because I will definitely eat a cupcake this evening before I go to bed. As you do, I gotta make sure that it tastes okay, right? Yeah. So, like I said, the quitting drinking thing we've discussed earlier. If you need to detox. Again, most people don't have to, but if you get to that point, do not put it off. Do not act like you don't have the time or don't have the resources. Here's the reality. If you're at a point in your life where you need a detox in order to get sober, you can't afford not to. That's it. Like I said it. That's it. That's like the big elephant in the room. You can't afford not to, because you don't have much runway ahead of you anymore if you don't get sober. Like, that's it. So just do that. Just get sober. Continue to be a part of your life, your partner's lives, the people that you love, their lives, all of that stuff. If you lose your job because you went to detox, you got a heck of a lawsuit on your hands potentially, and you could always file an FMLA when you want to go to treatment. And also, there's a lot of places that will actually pay for a detox or treatment because they want to keep you as an employee. And I'm not talking large corporations. I know of a dude who went to treatment. His treatment was paid for by his boss at a locally owned, family-owned business. They paid for this guy to go to treatment because he was that valuable to the company. It was worth every penny for them to send this guy to treatment. So don't just think you can't go, is what I'm saying. You can get it figured out, I promise you. So do the thing. I really, really recommend that. If you need to detox, detox. I'm not knocking treatment at all. If you feel like you need to go to treatment, go to treatment. But don't stop there. That is also a huge part of the story, because that's not enough. 30 days isn't going to fix you. It's about what you do when you get out, and that's what we're talking about now. Things that I've done since I've got out, continue to do. Exercise is one of them. I will exercise until the day I physically am incapable of doing that. I assume that basically means when I'm on death's doorstep is when I will quit working out. I will run and lift weights until my body gives up. And I've also done enough research to determine that basically my body will give up when I stop doing those things. It seems like, so I don't want to stop doing those things. The other thing, like I said, is going to therapy. And when I say therapy, I don't mean like you have to go to therapy. There's lots of different ways that you can work on learning about what's going on in your head. I just recommend a therapist because it's hard to fix what's in your head with what's in your head by yourself. And it's nice to have somebody that has a little bit of experience and knowledge about what you're going through, or even if it's just book smarts, to help you navigate a scenario that you don't, it's uncharted waters. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You got a freaking match in a dark room. Go find somebody that has a flashlight or can turn the lights on for you, right? Go do that. Another thing that I do, and this ties into the therapy thing, is like journaling, like checking in with yourself, like having a level of self-talk, like what is going on with me? Why do I feel the way I feel? Like, I wasn't good with feelings when I first got sober because I spent the majority of my youth pretending like I didn't have them because that's what I was trained to do. You know, it's the whole, I'm from Wyoming. It's a very Western cowboy type state. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps type of stuff. And in order to learn about my feelings, I had to learn to articulate them, and a journal helps me do that. So I recommend doing that on a regular basis. I still do that. Constant self-improvement, I think, is part of the thing. A lot of my philosophy is stoic in nature, like the ancient stoic philosophers, because it as far as I know, and I'm not meaning to step on anybody's toes as far as belief systems go. I'm not saying anything is right, wrong, left, whatever. As far as I actually know, like empirical evidence, I only have this one life. And when I got sober, I felt like I finally became conscious of my experience. Like I finally started making choices because, yes, I made choices before I got sober, but none of them were intentional. And when I say that, I mean like really tried to be an architect of things. It wasn't like that previously. It was like, I need a job. What job do I get? Oh, the one that will hire me, you know, like things like that. I wasn't really charting a course. Since getting sober, I've started to chart a course. So personal development, self-improvement is a big part of that. Like, okay, well, if I want to, I have a marketing business. If I want to get better at marketing to the point that I can actually have that as a business, then I need to market and I need to learn more about marketing. I need to take marketing courses. I need to do all of these kinds of things. Like that is a huge part of my sobriety. But somebody earlier tonight had asked about only, drinking when they're bored. Well, I don't find myself being bored very often. If anything, I find myself not having enough time to get the things done that I want to get done, to the point that the fun hobbies that I want to take part in, and I'm not saying they're not fun, but I'm saying the more like for fun hobbies, I don't spend as much time doing because I'm spending more time doing other things. And that's just part of life for some of us. I'm not saying that you need to do what I do. Like I run, 30 miles, 40 miles a week. That takes up a considerable portion of my time. I've just decided I'd prioritize that over my other hobbies, which is like, I don't really play a lot of video games with the boys anymore. I'm not knocking video games. It's just I got to a point where it's like, I'm not doing that. I have other things I want to do. Like I want to play my game, my life, right? I don't spend a lot of time painting anymore. I used to do that quite a lot. That's not a part of my current recovery program, right? Like I have a different lifestyle that I'm living. But all of that is to say, what isn't included in my lifestyle anymore is the drinking alcohol thing. By the way, pouring cupcakes out of this mixing bowl and talking to you guys at the same time is hard. Yeah, not the easiest thing I've ever done. Yeah, so I didn't make that much of a mess though, so that's cool. I also highly recommend that you do some things to repair the relationships in your life. This may sound like the amends process of AA to you, but it really isn't, because I don't think, or at least I have not found any utility in going and apologizing to every person in my life who I have ever wronged. There are people in my life who I have wronged, who I will probably never talk to or see again, and I'm not using an ice cream scoop next time. I never thought of that, but that is like the right size. Thank you. But I will say this. I think that the people who it is most important for you to, and when I say make amends, I mean just like have an honest conversation with these people about the shit that's keeping you up at night, about the relationship that you have with them. That's mine. That's my rule. Jessica said, I would absolutely love to sit down with you next time you're in town and just visit. No, I'd love that. I will be back in Casper for sure in May, the beginning of May, like the first weekend in May. I usually have very limited time. I'm not saying, that's not me saying I won't make time for you, but I visit Casper twice a year to go to Riverton for Freemason stuff. There's a very important meeting that I go to in Riverton twice a year. So I'm always there in October and I'm always there in May. And I usually have a day and a half in Casper, depending on how cool flights are and all that stuff. But no, I would love to do that. That'd be fantastic. Kayla says it works great. I believe you. That I will give the ice cream scoop a shot on the rest of these cupcakes, actually. But so back to the kind of amends thing is like the people, because here's the thing, I always have people say like, I'm recently sober, I'm dealing with thoughts, having troubles like sleeping at night, things are keeping me up, blah, 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 blah. And I'm always like, well then like, what are you gonna do about the things that are keeping you up at night? And most people don't want to take action on it. And when I said earlier that part of getting sober is like becoming accountable and responsible and doing stuff. And this is part of that doing stuff. So if you want to stop having things keep you up at night, if you want to end some of the anxiety, if you want to improve your experience, you have to change your experience. You have to do things about stuff. So like I had an employer who I hadn't worked for the guy for like 3 years. 3 years, 2 years probably at that point. But I couldn't stop thinking about how bad I felt for the way that I left. And I had I had ex-coworkers that I had talked to. I'm like, hey man, I really need to I want to really talk to him about that. And he's like, dude, screw that guy, right? But I was like, I don't care what these people say. Like, I have to do something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I have to do something. So I went and had a conversation with him. He basically was like, I don't care, like, not like, oh, I don't care about the way you behave, but he was like, I don't like your words don't mean shit to me. Right. But it meant a lot to me to like be willing to go have that honest conversation. Like, man, I know I did you wrong. This guy put so much faith and trust in me, invested so much time and energy and effort into turning me into the person who I was, working within his business. And then one day, like, I just don't show up anymore, pretty much. He's got jobs on the line where I'm not the foreman, but I'm like the head of one of his crews. I'm the guy that has the CDL to drive the crane truck. I have the electrician's license to make sure that we can do all the electrical work. And like, I just stopped coming to work. And, that's a problem, right? And I recognize that. And the guy had me go to his house on weekends to do stuff around his house to pay me because he liked me enough and was trying to make my life easier, right? It was a fantastic boss. That's the truth. I tell him, you know, kind of what was up. I let him know like how I feel. And he was like, okay, cool. How's your family? You know, like just pretty much like, I don't really care, but I want to know how everything else is. You know, we chat for a while. I thought the dude was gonna like throw me out, like beat me up or something, you know, not really beat me up, of course, but like, I didn't expect it to go that way, but I didn't get what I wanted, which was him to be like, yeah, no, it's okay, man. I understand. I didn't get that, you know, it wasn't anything like that, but it resolved the like questions that existed in my head. And that's the shit that keeps us up. That's the stuff that creates the anxiety. Like the anxiety is a bunch of like options without enough, like without you doing anything. It's like a bunch of open doors and you're just looking at them and you're paralyzed. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So you get sober, you have to start doing things. If you've got a relationship that is on the rocks with somebody who you care about, you need to go have a conversation about it. You need to talk to them, even if it means it's the end of the relationship, because that's the thing. That's the thing that we need to understand, okay? Is that if you're losing sleep about a relationship, if what will eventually happen is that the relationship fails, the sooner that the relationship fails, the less sleep you're gonna lose, okay? Like, then you can get on with your damn life. Like, that is what I mean with my personal choice about how to handle the things that are bugging me in my life. That's how I handle the amends. I'm not going to, like, somebody who I wasn't nice to at a party or something, I'm not going to just call them up and be like, hey, I'm sorry about that. You know, like, I'm not going to do anything like that. If I saw them on the street, I might make a mention of it. But also at the same time, I've done a couple of those. Like, they weren't really keeping me up, but I was like, you know, I remember this one time I did this thing, I'm going to tell this person. And they're like, what? Like, what? What are you talking about? Or they're like, dude, I don't even care. Like, it doesn't even matter. So the things that you need to do is you need to resolve the things that are causing you distress, whatever that looks like. It's a big deal. And it's huge in recovery. If part of the reason that you're drinking is because you can't emotionally regulate, which for most of us it is, that doesn't mean it's like underlying trauma, like deep-rooted childhood trauma. It means that you just don't know how to handle being a human. If part of the thing is you can't handle being human, and the only way you can deal with depression or anxiety is by drinking, which alcohol does help with until it doesn't, okay? If that's how you're handling those things, the best way to handle it is to deal with the thing causing the thing. Like, get to the core of it. Deal with the relationship that's causing you anxiety instead of like not, you know, like take action, change these things. That is a huge part of getting sober, because now you don't have to emotionally regulate around whatever that thing is, because you solved the thing, which is the best way you could emotionally regulate anyways. You go be a little uncomfortable to get a little bit comfortable. It's part of the thing, okay? Jessica says, family and obligations first, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's why I don't give a lot of people my time when I do go back home, because like my dad and my stepmom live there, my brother lives there, so I do like to see them when I'm there. It's not really a business trip when I'm visiting, but in a way it's sort of like a business trip. Like, I'm a member of essentially what is a board of directors of an organization, and we meet twice a year where it's important that I show up to take part in the duties that I have in my office. You know, like, this is the way that it goes, right? But yeah, I still would love to talk to you. It'd be cool. So fitness, some sort of therapy, actually spending the time to resolve the things in our heads that are causing us some sort of anxiety. Like, you gotta stop running away from your life. That's part of getting sober. There ain't no way around that, really. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't, life gets better when we get sober, but better doesn't always mean easy, for the record. Had lots of really hard conversations since I got sober with people. Lost some friendships, ended a romantic relationship. Like, it's a part of the thing sometimes, but we have to be true and authentic to ourselves. Like, it's important. It's important for us to come correctly, honest, all that stuff. It's just part of the deal. I read a lot. Like I said, self-improvement is a very important part of sobriety. Keeping yourself busy, even if it's keeping yourself busy for the sake of staying busy and staying sober, it's worth it. But I would highly recommend that you find things that are actually valuable to you, that actually are fulfilling. You can find them if you go take the time to find them. They exist, they're out there. There are things that you want to do. There are ways that you can improve your life that feel less like work. It doesn't take discipline, okay? And that's something I want you to understand. And this may sound weird. It may sound weird. It will sound weird at first. I'm saying getting sober doesn't take discipline. And I'm talking about all these things that I do that may sound like discipline to people. But it's like, most days, thoroughly enjoy going for a run. Like, look forward to it even. Like, I have had nights where I have a run in the morning where I'm excited to perform that run. I'm excited to see what my body can do. I'm excited to see how fast I can go. I'm excited to see how far I can go. Like, I have that where I can't sleep, okay? Like, I'm like having trouble sleeping in the same way that you would lose sleep around this time as a kid. Like, the night before Christmas, like, can't sleep. Like, dealing with that kind of thing. On those days, running doesn't require discipline. On days where I wake up and I don't want to run, yes, it does require discipline. Sobriety is the same way. It required an immense amount of discipline in the beginning, because discipline means doing things you don't want to do, okay? When you're doing something that you do want to do, it doesn't take discipline anymore, and that thing just turns into a habit. It isn't hard. It isn't white knuckling. It isn't difficult. If there's no difficulty, if there's no resistance, it doesn't require discipline. It's just a thing you do. And sobriety eventually requires no discipline. Like, I don't have to be disciplined about whether I drink or not, because the whole of my life has become so full and so fulfilling. If I were to drink, I would lose those things. So I don't have to convince myself that I want to continue to stay sober. It doesn't work that way. Eventually, being sober becomes the habit that drinking used to be. So you just get like a different experience, right? For me, things that require discipline is like following up on sales leads for my business, calling people, like that kind of stuff. That stuff takes discipline. I want to put that off. I want to procrastinate it. I don't want to do it because that feels like real work. I don't want to do that. Go to the gym. I would rather go run a bunch of miles than call a bunch of leads and stuff like that. Like that's the truth. That stuff takes discipline. So like all of this is actually a really nice segue into going back to the beginning, in that we've had people that are talking about like, well, I need to detox, I need to do this, I need to do that. You've heard that story. I can't because this, I can't because that. That is you procrastinating the thing you need to do. That is you not doing the thing that you need to do. It's you being willing to do everything. I would spend the amount of energy that I spent not getting sober, it makes the amount of energy it took to get sober just a drop in the bucket, a drop in the ocean in comparison. The excuses I would come up with to continue to drink, the lies that I would tell people to make them not know how bad my drinking was, the lies I told myself in order to continually excuse poor behavior, poor choices, disordered behavior. All of that stuff was just me procrastinating, me putting off getting sober. Me saying, well, I can't go to treatment, I don't like this therapist, this, that, or the other, was me avoiding the real work. So find the thing right now that you can do, the biggest lever, the thing that you don't want to do, and do it. Do that thing and keep doing that thing. Keep pulling on that lever. Get all the levers that you can out of that thing, and it will move you towards sobriety. So if it is, you feel like you need to go to detox and you're trying to come up with every excuse not to go to detox, go to freaking detox and just keep going from there. I don't want to talk to a therapist. I don't want to talk about my feelings. No, then you need to talk about your feelings. Like, do the thing you don't want to do, because that's the thing that'll get you to where you want to go. That's the reality. Because all the other things that you're willing to do are you putting off the thing that you need to do. That's it. That's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce to continue to stay sober. If you're into the AA thing, if you're into AA, somebody's going to tell you get a sponsor, and you're going to be like, I don't want to get a sponsor. Well, you should probably get a sponsor. You're going to get a sponsor. Sponsor's going to say do the step work. You should probably do the step work. The sponsor's going to say, like, you should go to 90 meetings in 90 days. You say, I don't want to do that. Well, you should probably do that. You should probably do that. If you if you were my client, I'm going to say you need to start working out. And you're like, I don't really want to do that. You probably should do that. You know, if we continue, as we're working together, we realize that maybe you need to start seeing a doctor because you haven't gone to a doctor in 5 years. And I'm like, you really need to see a doctor. You should probably go see a doctor. Like, all of those things that you're not doing are the things that you should do. And those are the things that are going to help you get and continue to stay sober. That's it. That is the thing. That is the thing. The the hardware that we have is wired for like reward and comfortability. But those aren't the things that you need to survive in the world that we live in today. Those are the things that you needed to survive in the savannah or on the prairie or in the mountains millennia ago. It doesn't serve you as well now. It just really doesn't. It's part of the thing. Kayla says self-improvement is a great way to get and stay sober. It says was, but I assume way. So I think it makes sense. I've been on for an hour and a half, guys. We did get one batch of cupcakes started. I want to get off. I've got some other things that I need to do before I go to bed, in addition to do these cupcakes. So I'm going to do that. I really appreciate every single one of you that were on here tonight. I hope that you were able to pull some sort of value from it. Share it with whoever needs it, or it's for you, or whatever it is. I just hope that this was meaningful in some way, shape, or form. Again, I'll be back on tomorrow night, same time, 7 Central. We won't be making cupcakes because I'm not turning this into a cooking show, okay? Because if I was, I would be horrible at it because I definitely wasn't. I was not doing my best Martha Stewart. However, she was able to do all those things and still talk to people. It blows my mind. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one.